10 Most Disturbing True Yukon Horror Stories. Untold Fears. The Yukon, in the far north of Canada, is a land of staggering beauty, towering mountains, endless forests, frozen rivers, and skies that seem to stretch into eternity. But beneath its breathtaking wilderness lies a darker truth. It is a place of isolation, harsh survival, and chilling legends. For centuries, whispers of strange disappearances, haunted towns, and encounters with something not quite human have plagued this frozen frontier. Tonight, we journey deep into the icy heart of the Yukon, where untold fears linger in the shadows. Here are 10 of the most disturbing true Yukon horror stories. Story 1. The disappearing village of Anjikuni Lake. In 1930, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle trekked through the snow to the Inuit village at Anjikuni Lake. He expected warmth, laughter, and familiar faces. Instead, he found silence. The village of over 30 people was gone. Homes stood empty, food still cooking over extinguished fires, rifles leaning against doorframes, and sled dogs frozen to death in their harnesses. There were no footprints, no signs of struggle, just a community that had vanished into thin air. Some believe starvation or migration forced them out, but the eerie detail of untouched belongings has fueled darker theories: UFO abduction, supernatural forces, or something far worse lurking in the endless white. Story 2. The Phantom Hitchhiker of the Alaska Highway. The Alaska Highway cuts through the Yukon, long and lonely. Truckers and travelers alike tell of a ghostly figure, an old man in ragged clothes, or sometimes a young woman in a white parka, seen walking along the snowy roadside. Drivers who stop often find the figure vanishes before their eyes. Some who dare to give a ride report the hitchhiker sitting silently in the back seat, only to dissolve into mist before reaching the next town. A few witnesses swear the spirit whispers a warning: turn back, it's not safe ahead. Story 3. The Headless Valley. Nahana Valley, on the edge of the Yukon, has earned the name, the Valley of Headless Men. Since the early 1900s, prospectors searching for gold have turned up dead, mutilated, often without their heads. The McLeod brothers vanished in 1908, later found decapitated near their campfire. More followed. Martin Jorgensen, headless and burned in his cabin, others never seen again. Local Dean legends speak of evil spirits and mountain men who protect the land. RCMP investigations found nothing conclusive. To this day, travelers report strange lights, eerie voices, and a sense of being watched in the valley where so many lost their lives. Story 4. The Ghost Ship of the Yukon River. For decades, those traveling along the Yukon River have spoken of a phantom steamboat, drifting silently through the fog. Its deck is lined with pale, ghostly figures staring into the distance. Fishermen say the ship glides past without sound, then fades into nothing. Some locals believe it is a harbinger of death. If you see the ghost ship, someone close to you will die within days. Story 5. The Wendigo in the Woods. Hunters in the Yukon's endless forests tell of something inhuman, tall, gaunt, with glowing eyes and a hunger that never ends. The Wendigo, rooted in Algonquin legend, is said to stalk lonely travelers, driving them mad with whispers of starvation and cannibalism. In the winter of 1972, a trapper near Old Crow was found dead, his body emaciated as though starved, but food surrounded him in his cabin. His journal spoke of voices in the trees, and a shadow that watched him night after night. His final entry read, "It wants me to join it." Story 6. The Haunting of Dawson City. Dawson City boomed during the Klondike Gold Rush. But many who came, seeking fortune found only death. Today, its historic theaters, saloons, and hotels are said to be haunted. At the Palace Grand Theater, staff report footsteps on stage long after closing, with curtains swaying as though someone just walked through. In old boarding houses, guests describe shadowy figures peering into their rooms at night. One chilling story tells of a prospector in ghostly miner's gear who appears in the cemetery, pointing toward unmarked graves before vanishing. Story 7. The Vanishing Hunters of Lake Lawberg. Lake Lawberg, made famous by Robert Service's cremation of Sam McGee, holds its own grim truth. Hunters have gone missing there, their boats found adrift, gear untouched. In 1987, 2 men vanished while ice fishing. Their shack was discovered intact, with lines cast and food ready, but no trace of the men. Witnesses claim strange lights dance above the frozen lake on winter nights, followed by an unearthly silence, as though the world itself is holding its breath. Story 8. The Crying Woman of Carcross. Carcross, a small Yukon town, has long whispered of a weeping spirit. Residents hear her sobs echoing through the night, especially near the cemetery. Some see her as a pale figure wandering between graves, clutching a shawl. An old story tells of a mother who lost her child during the harsh winter of 1903. Overwhelmed by grief, she wandered into the woods and froze to death. Locals believe her ghost still searches for her lost child, forever weeping in the night. Story 9. The Silent Lights of the Dempster Highway. The Dempster Highway, stretching into the Arctic Circle, is notorious for strange lights that stalk travelers. Unlike the northern lights, these orbs hover close, weaving through trees, following vehicles, and sometimes darting directly toward cars before vanishing. In 1996, a couple reported being pursued by glowing spheres for nearly 20 kilometers. Their engine stalled without reason, and they sat in frozen terror as the lights hovered outside their windshield. Minutes later, the engine roared back to life, and the lights shot into the sky. Story 10. The Cabin in the Woods. Perhaps the most disturbing Yukon tale is not ancient legend, but a modern account. In 2003, a man from Whitehorse set out to spend the winter alone in a remote hunting cabin. His body was never found, but his journal was discovered months later. The entries grew increasingly erratic. Day 12. Something's outside. Footsteps in the snow. Day 21. It scratches at the walls. It doesn't sleep. Day 34. The faces in the window won't leave me alone. The final page read only, it's inside. The cabin was abandoned, but hunters still avoid the area. Some claim they hear scratching on the walls when they pass by, as though whatever tormented him never left. Closing. The Yukon is a land of beauty, but also of darkness, where silence hides ancient mysteries, and the frozen wilderness can swallow you whole. These stories are not just folklore. They are warnings, etched into the memory of a land that has claimed countless lives. If you ever find yourself wandering the Yukon's lonely highways, or camping in its endless forests, remember these tales. For in the land of eternal winter, not all who disappear are lost.